This channel is made possible by viewers like you. My viewers, subscribers, and patrons greatly help to keep this channel going. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of you. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any uploads. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get access to what I'm working on, previews of upcoming content, and even early videos, along with other tier options for those that are interested. Thank you, and now on to the video. So over the last few weeks, I have been diving into Forgive Me Father 2. The game is within its early access period, so it isn't done being updated yet, or even within its final state. But when it comes to early access games, I like to look at a few things. Early access is where games can take that time and build up the relationship between developers and players. Gamers are really good about being vocal about what they like and don't like, and a good developer can take that information and then figure out the best ways to implement it. I feel like a developer that can see it from their perspective in making the game, and they can also put on the hat of a player, is one that can very much ride that line well for the game itself and the community surrounding it. Early access can be a great way to build up momentum for your game, and it allows for many opportunities to get eyes on that game, whether through different content phases, updates, and then the final release. But the most important thing comes down to is what you provide within your early access state. Is it something to invest in now or something to wait later? How much fun do you provide? How's the gameplay right now? And as of right now, with all the time I have spent with it, I really like what Forgive Me Father 2 has here. There's a couple things that stood out to me that I really like with the design of Forgive Me Father. For one, there are plenty of instances where you are shooting through a level, and you'll come to a path. Maybe it's the main path. More often than not, it's a side path, and you'll think, maybe I can go this way. Usually you can, and it leads to extra items, supplies, or even tokens. Stuff like this is awesome, and even with this title being a very linear game, it provides these moments of discovery and exploration to the player. Levels come in different sizes and types as well. Another thing I like is how many of the levels will circle back on themselves. You might go up vertically, battling your way to open up the level, and then this leads you back to where you started from a different position. Stuff like this makes the levels feel more expansive and involved. It is a fun way to mix up the traditional path of needing to find keys to unlock doors and hit switches. Forgive Me Father 2 is very traditional in that sense, and I mean it in a good way. The game is very linear, sort of like an older title, with a brand new stylish coat of paint. It works and it's very fun. Forgive Me Father 2 is a title that slowly ramps up as you keep going, from the weapons you get to use along with how levels generally feel. I found the opening few levels to be ones where I need to really watch my ammo. There is a low ammo count here, and then when you mix in all the shadows and creepy design, it takes on this light survival horror-like feel. As you obtain more weapons, the action ramps up, but at the same time, the game greatly encourages the player to switch out their weapons, so you're not currently using the only one that you prefer, but rather you're using the entire arsenal. It's a system where it promotes the player to use all of the weapons at hand. Weapons range from melee, pistols, shotguns, rifles, and explosives. You can use points and tokens to buy perks that you can slot to give you buffs along with buying new weapons as well. Fights can get pretty intense, and the arena-like ones are some of the biggest. Lots of enemies and many things to consider. You have a power bar that gives you a brief boost in power and speed. The game generally has a nice challenge, and something I really like is how you can replay any of the levels within the game. There are secrets and tokens to find, and these provide a good reason to go back. But more importantly, just having another excuse to enjoy the minute-to-minute action is enough as well. I do think Forgive Me Father 2 is a really good title, even within its early access stage, but I do need to bring up some areas that could use some more improvement. For example, the very first boss within the game needs some more work. The fight is generally fine and fun, but it could benefit from being more dynamic. Maybe some changes on what you need to do in the fight. Maybe there are some minions to fight on top of the boss or something, but the fight is kind of static. Just keep shooting until he is gone, and then the enemy is just this big floating bullet sponge. I do feel like the later stages could use some more improvement and refinement. For example, the basement level is a sharp spike in difficulty, along with it being very hard to see. Your light is a key component, and honestly something you need to rely on more and more as you play the game. But when you are faced with a level that is very dark, probably even the darkest in the game, and with an enemy that has a sniper-like laser that does way too much damage, this can really halt the flow and momentum of the prior levels. The basement level could benefit from being not so dark, toning down that one laser enemy, or maybe even providing more health and armor pickups. I do like that the game does allow for some exploration, but then there are moments where it feels like you should be able to go over there, or leap over something and you hit an invisible wall. I think it would have been better if these were hidden just a bit more. I understand the use for them, but it creates this inconsistency, causing you to look at some of these things like you should be able to jump over them, but you can't. With this being in early access, yes, there are some graphical glitches that pop up here and there. They are noticeable, but something that honestly doesn't hurt the game too much. And lastly, I think some will take issue with the use of the yellow paint. This sort of points the player to where they need to go. I really don't think we need the paint to tell us this. The game is fairly linear, and I like that, but the paint kind of seems like overkill. Even with these issues, I'm still really enjoying this title a lot. Before we move to the conclusion, I want to highlight some of the soundtrack. I really love the safe area theme here. Take a listen. Forgive Me Father 2 is a solid and very fun first-person shooter. It is still in its early access state, and in some cases it shows this, but that is partially why a game does this. We get to play pieces of the game at a time and then watch as it hopefully continues to grow and refine into a better experience. But it needs to start with something good to begin with. I can happily say I really like what is here. The time I have spent with it has been very good. It's a title that I would recommend now, especially during its early access phase. The action is bloody, and I love the art style. It's always nice to see a game go for something interesting like this than a more photorealistic looking thing. Forgive Me Father 2 is fun right now, and I look forward to the full release. Have you played Forgive Me Father 2? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you can help to keep this channel going strong, and this allows me to be able to do more for my awesome audience. Please check out the links in the description and pinned comment for ways to support the channel. And most of all, thank you very much for watching.